We moved to Bath just over 10 years ago. We're familiar with this street and this particular shop, and actually would often walk past and kind of say, wow, imagine if one day this place became available. And then it did. So this is home to myself, my wife, our 2 children, and our 2 doggies. We love the relationship between the shop and living quarters. You know, this is the commute through this door here. But it is lovely having that connection with what we do professionally and home life. So the name of the practice, Berdoulat, comes from the name of the house I grew up in southwest France. And it was an 18th century farmhouse that my parents bought in a ruined state. We then, as a family, we kind of worked on the restoration of the place together. I think that's where I caught the bug for working with ancient buildings and really gained a passion for interior design, working with furniture, objects and decoration. So originally in the 18th century, the shop would have had a completely different format. There'd have been just a small shop in the front room of the terrace building. But in 1890, 3 very eccentric Victorians joined forces. One was a restaurateur, another a high-end grocer, and the third a wine merchant. And they formed Cater, Stoffel and Fort, which became known as the Fortnums of the West. But what they did with the building was to completely reformat the space. So all of the internal walls at ground and first floor were removed, as was the ceiling, to create this fantastic double-heighted space that we enjoy today. When we took on the restoration project, a lot of the glazed vitrines here were actually all in pieces up in the attic. The shelves that hold these jars we found in a neighbour's garage. And then wherever we have introduced mahogany to sort of make good and replace missing drawers and so on and so forth, we've left that mahogany without any varnish finish, so as to tell the story of the restoration. The kitchen is the real heart of the home. This is the area where we spend most of our time and the space that sees the most action. The main kitchen space can actually be furnished with pieces of furniture in their own right. So for example, the sink dresser here, the dining table there, they've got plenty of space to breathe. So one of the benefits of using a rack like this is when you've done the washing up, it drips dry, which means you don't have to put it away. So not only do we use a lot of the products that we sell in the shop in our home, but also some of the items that we've lived with for years and years have informed products that we now sell in the shop. So for example, this cheese strainer, which is probably 19th century salt glaze, was always by the side of the sink, and we would just put our cutlery in it to drip dry. And Neri one day said, well, this is a really good idea for a product. Why don't we just create a product that can be sold for that purpose?
We are the heart of our kitchen, our pantry. When we decided to put these glazed-in doors, we had a massive space with an old, beautiful dresser here. We wanted to feel relaxed and out of the clutter. We keep everything almost on a little zone where once you open the door, you could see on the shelves very colorful and fun bit of the kitchen too.
Immediately on from the kitchen is our living room. I'm not going to show you the whole space because our puppy has gradually worked her way through most of the furniture. So far she's eaten 2 armchairs and the best part of a sofa. But one piece of furniture that luckily she's yet to eat is this bath dresser, which is one of the pieces of furniture we make. Here you can see it being put to full use, and I love family dressers that are just riddled with, everyday life, whether it's cards, whether it's our daughter's willow pattern plate that she did, kids' pens and paintbrushes, and I just love seeing pieces of furniture like this that are full of action. This is a space that is directly above the kitchen area. When designing the extension, we wanted to reference the shop. Hence, this is almost like a kind of echo of the format of the shop space with the double height area in the middle. So you can see, if you look around the space, there on that side, there is an external wall with the 2 sash windows. That's now one of the children's bedrooms with their beautiful Fanny Shorter fabric Roman blinds.
This is actually my favorite room in the house. When I come with my cup of coffee and sit and just gather my thoughts, the light was the main thing in this room, focus. This is the room where we relax and also come up with ideas and chat. We commissioned Claire Lauder, great ceramic artist, to make this almost caricatural representation of us. And we built these niches to head sculptures to go in specially.
So this bookcase is the prototype for another one of our pieces of furniture that we make, which is a sort of modular design that can be any length and can be any depth. And we do one with a sort of fixed cupboard below as well, which is quite useful for hiding away all the board games. But this particular one has the inscription along the top, which relates to this space, which we decided to dedicate to my mum, who passed away whilst we were in the process of doing the build. You can see that every so often there is a gilded letter, which means as you walk along, it spells out her name, Rosie. So it's quite lovely for us as we come and go through this space every day, we're reminded of her. Another thing in this room, which is one of my favourite possessions, are these blocks that illustrate various joints. And these were made by our friend Marcus, who I'm fortunate enough to have worked with for the best part of 20 years. And it was through Marcus that I really gained a good understanding of joinery techniques, which has been a really important thing for me as a furniture designer. It's a room that connects all the disparate parts of the building and of family life. So now we're up in the spaces above the shop, and this is our bedroom. It's a space that we love being in, and we've tried to hang pictures in this space on numerous occasions.
We find very difficult to find the right piece for this room, isn't it?
It's just on pause at the moment. The green on the walls is Berdoulat green, which is a colour that we worked on together with Farrow & Ball. But we can't really take the credit for the colour itself, because all that we did was to colour match the original Georgian green, probably an arsenic-based paint. And we absolutely love the colour. So we really wanted to complement and contrast the green with something quite different. So we bought this piece of furniture and painted it using Edward Bulmer's red ochre. And instead of using an eggshell, we used the emulsion finish and then added a clear beeswax to it, which gives this really beautiful texture. It's almost like the palm of your hand, very, very soft, which I think is really lovely when you're engaging with a piece of furniture and touching it and you know, every day. It's one of our absolute favourite colours.
Heirloom pieces are very important for us, and this is this piece from my mum's diary, and she weaved herself and she dyed all these incredible colours with the root vegetables and the plants. So something we absolutely cherish is being eaten by moths terribly. But recently we got a friend who is an incredible needle worker, so she is restored it for us.
So one of my favourite parts of the shop is up on the top floor where we are here, where we've got our plaster cast gallery. And this is a collection that we've worked on with Alexander Griffin, who's cast everything that you see here. And we're actually growing the collection all the time. So for example, this piece we made last year, which is part of a fireplace at Belcombe Court in Bradford-on-Avon, just down the road. And we want it to include bits of local architecture from buildings in and around Bath. So we're now down in the vaults underneath the shop. This is the original kitchen from the 18th century servants' quarters. And it was when we came down here that Neri and I got really excited about the building when we first saw the place. We didn't actually talk to one another, we just gave each other these kind of knowing looks. But we've tried down here to restore it with quite a light touch, so as to preserve the ancient feel of the space. We have created this pendant light fitting with feldspar, which has a ceiling rose that's inspired by cannelé de Bordeaux, which is one of my absolute favorite French patisseries. I'm not quite sure how we got on to using that as our inspiration, but as we got talking together about the design, we realized we all deeply loved this patisserie and thought that it should somehow inform the design. They're very, very fine, and when the light shines through the bone china, the whole thing has this beautiful glow to it, which we really love. We love the way in which, right next to the shop, there's our family home, where a lot of the furniture we sell in the shop is actually being used in real life. So it's really lovely to have those items for sale one side of the door, and on the other side of the door they're being used daily in a family context.